Mic. Camera. Action.
You got 15 minutes? No physical contact of any kind. No tape recorders. No object may be passed to the prisoner. I'll be right outside this door.
Mr. Van Wetter, my name is Ward Jansen. This is my associate, Yardley Aikman.
You look like your picture.
I do. Thank you.
These your paper boys?
Mm-hmm.
What are they gonna do for us?
They're gonna save you.
All right. Welcome back to the Filmography, the show dedicated to watching every credited film from an actor's complete back catalogue from past debut through to present day in chronological order. Each episode, I'm joined by an esteemed guest to watch and discuss the next entry from their focused filmography and consider how it ranks amidst their career and whether we can trace any typecasting trends or topic traits or theatrical tics. Today, I'm joined by Marcko-boy to discuss McConaughey's performance in Lee Daniels The Paperboy from 2012. We watch, you listen, and hopefully watch along too. Good evening, sir. Thank you for coming back on the show. It's been a while since we last spoke. We covered Estaith, but now you're dipping into the world of McConaughey.
Yes, indeed. Last time we talked about Chaos, which was interesting, I think.
Yeah.
I think we both agreed that it was a fine movie.
Yeah. Which so many of the Statham ones end up being, to be honest. But because you know what you're getting when you go in, don't you?
More or less, yes. On occasion, you get a fun surprise, but like Spy. But yeah, Chaos wasn't one of those.
No, it was kind of pretty formulaic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which cannot be said of the movie we are discussing tonight. There's a formula, I think we could say that, but formulaic is not a word I would use. What say you?
I mean, depends. Is that formula like drug-based? Because it feels like they were on something when they wrote this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd never seen this before.
Neither have I.
No, and I don't think I'll be watching this again.
No, I won't either.
Okay, podcast done. Brilliant. Thanks for popping by. No, we'll go to some depth, but yeah, I'm also not very aware of Lee Daniels' other work, if I'm honest. The writer-director. What about you?
I mean, I've heard of his other works, but I haven't really watched them in any capacity.
No.
I know he's a guy who has messages he wants to tell. I know he. How do I put it? He goes back and forth in people's minds as this is good, this is not, and maybe it can come off as preachy at times.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it's hard for me to gauge him without watching his other things.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. I think that's the right approach, is to not have an opinion unless you can back it up with actually evidence from what you've seen. But yeah, I mean, I've not engaged in Precious, in The Butler. There's just maybe his filmography is not one that ticks the boxes for me. And maybe it is that sense of I don't want to be preached to. The thing I love about the Statham movies is that escapism, is I guess that little sense of comfort of knowing what we're going to get from him. Perhaps from Lee Daniels, if this is anything to go by, you really don't know what you're going to get from him.
Yeah, maybe. It's really hard to tell, because if you look at the rest of his filmography here, there seems to be a lot of stuff about industry in various ways. I mean, The Butler implies that there's like some sort of richer overlord looming over the main character. He was a producer and occasional director of the TV show Empire, which was about the music industry. He seems to want to tell a lot about those different like sides of reality, I guess, for lack of a better word.
No, and I feel like he's somebody that we not we as in you and I, but we as a culture should want to engage with. You know, he's an openly gay black filmmaker. Like, I'm sure he's got a lot of really interesting things to say. But I think that definitely needs to come up in the conversation we have tonight about this movie, because we have closeted gay characters in this movie. And the way that they are depicted is, you know, from a straight white guy, maybe I'm not the person to be saying this, but feels a little bit problematic.
Yeah, problematic. At least in the type of execution we have here, because I think with some of the scenarios, if you had a stronger script, I see where you could go with some of those situations, but as it stands, it doesn't look great for anyone involved. No,
I mean, 12.5 million budget, 3.7 million box office, pretty scathing reviews. If there's conflicting reports when it's screened at Cannes, some people say it got a 15-minute standing ovation. Some people say it was a 15-minute clap versus boo off. Like, and that's why it kept going for so long, because some people were clapping and then some people were booing, and it was like, who's going to win this battle? So, it's not a very well regarded movie, I don't think, this one.
No, but even with the standing ovation you mentioned, everything gets a standing ovation. I think it's just a politeness thing at this point. It's a tradition. And also 15 minutes. God, my hands hurt just hearing about that.
I don't even, I can't even imagine being the filmmaker and really knowing what that must feel like. I mean, the only thing I can think to compare it to is like fireworks, right? New Year's fireworks, or it's pretty cool for the first 5 minutes. And then by the 10 minutes have gone, and then let's say 15, because that's the number we're talking about here. I'm a bit like, oh yeah, there's some more pretty lights in the sky. I'm a bit done. So I can imagine that's the same, like clapping. I mean, my God, you must be bored by the time you get to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm imagining a large room with a lot of people doing that. It might be quite deafening.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And as it sounds like unjust in this occasion. I mean, even the novel's original author, Pete Dexter, he is not a fan of this movie. He does not like what they did with his original text. So, yeah, I don't know. I knew nothing about this going into it.
No, neither did I. I had different expectations because I don't know what I expected. I had never really heard much about this movie beyond that it existed. But when I heard like the title, The Paperboy, I thought it was going to be some like a crime drama of sorts. Would be like, well, some sort of, I don't know, criminal empire or something, but it's really not.
No. And isn't it interesting that both of us were well versed in popular culture? We watch movies, we consume it in various different forms. You've got a really interesting blog that you write, and obviously I've got involved in podcasting, and but neither of us have absolutely kind of zero knowledge of this movie. It really must have just sort of come and gone really, really quickly. Same as you, I knew it existed. I knew Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron were in it, but that was sort of it. I knew nothing about it at all.
Yeah, it's pretty much like you said, and as you said earlier, what was it, like 3 million earned on a 12 million budget?
Yeah.
Like, that is chump change. That's just going to go gone. And especially this was around 2012, 2013. So that was a packed era where a lot of things could just disappear because it was, before streaming and after like video stores, really. So you didn't get people discovering it while just browsing shelves in the same way.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's a really interesting point. Maybe it could have been a sleeper hit in a different form, but it came out right at the wrong point. It does have some of those, more contemporary retrospective reviews where people are like, oh, everyone slept on this movie. It's so good. And even somebody like, there's a reviewer here called Robbie Collin. He was really critical of it when it first came out and when he saw it in Cannes. And then like a year or whatever later, I think a few years later, he is then like, oh, I've reappraised this movie, and actually there's lots to get out of it. So I do wonder if it's one that maybe you and I haven't taken to, but whether with time it might garner a bit more interest. But I'm not sure what these people are seeing.
Yeah, no, I mean, credit where it's due. I see a lot of interesting ideas here, like from the offset of having journalists checking into this crime and exploring the relationships around that. There's some really interesting bones to this story, but there's something about the way they handle it with the weird tone and the whiplash and some of the strange asides that it doesn't come together.
No, it doesn't come together. We'll definitely talk about the filming and editing style. I think we'll go into that in depth. And you're picking out this idea of it being, journalism movie. I was the same as you. The first few minutes, I was like, whoa, if it's going to be like this, really fractious, and in terms of its kind of depiction of story, it's quite elliptical, the editing, isn't it? It's kind of jumping all over the place. It was losing me straight off the bat. And then it sort of, as McConaughey came in and we got the introduction of the journalism angle, and it almost kind of started to delve into that kind of urgent investigative journalism mold, like a Spotlight, or what's it like? She Said, what's the really famous one? What for some reason is not jumping into my head, from the 70s, all about the Watergate scandal.
All the President's Men.
Thank you. Yeah, All the President's Men, the one which is
great movie.
All of them. Yeah, agreed. Like, all these movies are great, and they're like, they get you in and you want to know about the case, and the people are compelling. And I thought, oh, okay, if this is the angle it's going to take, it's going to win me back over. But as you said, then it starts jumping here and there, and this character and this oddity and this. It's pretty exhausting, really, isn't it?
Yes, especially since they can't get these tonal whiplashes right. Like, one of my favorite TV shows of all time is Fargo, and that goes like between really tense, gritty crime drama and some really absurd stuff a lot, but it does it in a really beautiful, natural way. This tries something similar, but it just never flows right.
That's a really interesting comparison. I've never actually watched the Fargo show. Sounds like I should. I've seen the movie. What an interesting comparison. That's not something I thought of. But yeah, the tonal, I think you've used the term whiplash a couple of times, is absolutely right. Because we jump from, as you said, these kind of intense hush conversations about what we're going to do and how we're going to get this guy off, and it's all wrong. And then suddenly we're on a beach and Nicole Kidman's pissing on Zac Efron.
Yes, and then there's also a scene where John Cusack and Nicole Kidman are dirty talking in front of the other actors, and this is really weird. And like, why is this here?
And really, again, I just don't know how this is. I don't know where was the discussion about the pitch of this and like how this works. And I kind of get the idea of this. It's quite interesting, this idea of these women who are obsessed with men on death row, and they write them letters and they don't think about the kind of later repercussions. And when they meet, they, of course, this guy is going to be horny. But it's, as you said, the weirdness comes then from the reactions of everybody else, like the eye contact of who's making eye contact with who, and the fact that McConaughey's character, Ward, seems to be quite enjoying himself watching these two get off with each other. Makes no sense considering what we learn about his character later on.
Yeah, no, that's why I sort of went with the drug quip earlier, because it really feels like they were on something when writing this, and it makes me curious what the original book is like. Like, is it weirder? Is it less weird? Where's the line drawn?
Yeah, I think from what I read, I've not read the book but from my sort of tertiary research, much less weird, much more straightforward. I saw lots of people describing this as, kind of like backwater swamp noir. I didn't know that was a thing, but I think he delves much more into that world in his book than this does.
Backwater swamp noir, there are a few things like that. I can't think of any titles off the top of my head, but I'm familiar with that subgenre, and that can work. And again, I see those elements here on occasion. You get that a little bit early on. You get it a fair bit towards the end. But towards the middle, you lose a lot of that, and it focuses on this weird mishmash of, well, everything they throw in this pot.
Yeah, and that's matched by the performances, isn't it? Like Kidman is really quite outlandish in the way that she dresses and the way that she performs. I think she's pretty decent, to be fair. She's in kind of To Die For mold, isn't she? Where she's kind of playing ditzy, but there's something going underneath the surface, and she's using her looks to manipulate everyone around her. But then you get the much more reserved performances of somebody like Zac Efron. We'll definitely talk about McConaughey, yeah, absolutely. David Oyelowo, he's a bit more towards the Nicole Kidman end of the scale. And then you've got Macy Gray very weirdly in this as the kind of, what's the word?
Narrator.
Like omnipotent narrator in a way, like telling us about things that her character absolutely could not have had any knowledge of.
Yes, there was even a point where she describes like some sexual encounter at one point in the movie, and it sort of breaks the fourth wall in a way, because at the start of the movie, we see her like talking to a journalist or cop or something. So you think, oh, she's telling the story back to this person. But then she phrases it like she's talking to the audience, as in that we don't need to see this.
Right, yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and that framing device gets completely dropped as well. We see it, as you said, right at the start, maybe once or twice within the first half an hour. And then after that, they never come back to it, do they? Again, another example of that sense of just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I get it for this type of investigative noir type of thing, but when you do it this inconsistently, it just never comes together in any meaningful or stylistically interesting way.
No, agreed.
It's like they forgot what they were doing halfway through, and like that they were going to have a narration and then just dropped it for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it's almost like, to be quite stereotypical here, it's almost kind of like ADHD the movie, isn't it? It's like, oh, here's an idea, oh, let's do that, and then, oh, here's an idea, oh, let's do that. And the trouble is, as you said, none of it has any weight. Everybody's an archetype. Nobody has any depth to their character. No storyline goes anywhere. It all just feels quite empty by the end.
Because none of it really ties together. At first, we have those things with the investigative journalism side, and you have the relationship between Nicole Kidman and John Cusack, who plays this killer who's in prison. But then it starts introducing all these other weird things where it's, becomes this strange psychosexual dramedy, and it's hard to wrap my mind around this because it's such a mess.
No, it really, I agree with you. It really is. Because everybody, like, motivations for people are really unclear. And, you spoke about the idea of he makes message movies, and it's hard to spot what the one is here, because the investigative journalism normally is about revealing a difficult truth to the world, which people are trying to hide, but you want to reveal, right? So the Watergate scandal, or Spotlight when it's talking about the Catholic Church, and She Said when it's talking about the launch into the Me Too movement and all that kind of stuff, and Weinstein. But here it's about trying to get this man off death row because he's been wrongly convicted of this murder, which may well actually be true. It's never really made clear to us, is it? But he is also a really horrible, vile, like psychopathic character, as we see by the end of the movie. So what is the message there? Don't pursue the truth because it might kill you, or do pursue the truth even if you're getting convicted, even if you're getting a psychopath who was, I don't know, like, what is it trying to say to me?
Maybe it tries to say like, don't trust John Cusack.
No, don't trust John Cusack, who's not good in this movie either.
He's a bit of fun, but he's not good.
No, and he can be good, as we know. There's plenty of performances where he's very good. It feels like a lazy performance from him.
Yeah, that's kind of where he's been for the past 15 years. He sort of flip-flops between, yeah, pretty good and just lazy. He just shows up in various things, but he never stands out.
No, it's true. But this was a chance to do that, I think, playing this kind of character who could be layered and could have different aspects to him, and to perhaps be charming to begin with, and then, you know, strip this away until we see the real psychopathy underneath. But none of it's there, is it? It's just, I'm going to leer and stare and grumble, and then I'm going to be rough.
Yeah, it's a weird performance, but to be fair, it's a performance that almost fits the script we hear coming out of him, because who could sell the lines in this? Who could sell that direction?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really fair to him. I think he tried, or maybe he didn't. I don't know. It's really hard to tell.
Yeah. I guess the reason I'm sort of putting the lazy label on him is when I think of like Nicole Kidman's performance, or as we said, McConaughey's performance, or even Zac Efron's performance, to be fair. You know, he's breaking good out of that young heartthrob role. Absolutely, yeah. McConaughey is bringing something to the role. Kidman is definitely bringing something to the role. Whether it's too much is up for debate. Whereas his just feels like this is the most obvious choice to make for this kind of character. So I'm just gonna do that.
I don't know if he even brings that most like obvious choice, because as we said, he is just kind of vile, but he's not. I think if he had been about as over the top as, say, Kidman, and matched her energy a bit more, maybe it could have worked a bit better. But he holds back a fair bit, and I guess that could work to make the character more disturbing in a better movie, but it never works here. It just feels lazy and too dry.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Thinking of somebody, you know, like the actors that played Hannibal before, how, you know, they're holding back, aren't they? But you can feel that simmering underneath the surface, whether it's Hopkins or Mickelson or whoever it is that's performed that role. Yeah, I just like, oh, there's John Cusack. Whereas at least it felt like everyone else was trying. I like that you said that word energy that you said, where, you know, Kidman is bringing energy to her role. And I think she was quite lauded at the time when it came out. And I can kind of see why. It's a very different style role for her, isn't it?
It's a very fun performance, if anything else.
What do they call her? They call her like a sexed up Barbie doll or something in the movie, don't they?
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it is the early days of her kind of starting to delve into the surgical enhancements. So there's not an awful lot of expression, unfortunately, on the face, but that is a route that she and many other actresses have continued to go down over the next decade.
Yeah, sadly, that's been a bit of an issue, but credit where it's due. Her line deliveries have this goofiness that makes her scenes just a little bit of fun to watch, even if I don't enjoy the story being told.
No, and I do buy that all these men would orbit around her.
Yeah, she looks great.
Yeah. You know, that I can get that Zac Efron's character, what is his name? Something...
Jack Jensen.
Jack Jensen. I knew it was a J, but I couldn't quite remember. Thank you, Jack Jensen. Yeah, I get that he, you know, would have that kind of schoolboy crush on her, and that the other men would kind of look to her in that way as a central figure for them to kind of base their lives around during this investigation, because she has that kind of magnetic quality, doesn't she?
Yeah, and I think she's fully aware of everyone having that sort of crush on her and plays to it to almost manipulate them. But I don't know if it's even that manipulative. Like, she knows, like, she attracts some dudes, and she's going to have a bit of fun with that.
Yeah. Again, the noirish, but perhaps not femme fatale.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty apt.
Yeah. And we sort of touched upon the key controversial scenes, didn't we? So we've got the jellyfish sting and the peeing on Zac Efron. That caused quite a bit of controversy. And then obviously as you said, the the scene in the, what do you call it?
Hotel?
Like oh, well, yeah, there's a motel. We will definitely get to the McConaughey controversial scene. But when her and Cusack are eye fucking each other is the best way I can put it, whilst pleasing themselves.
Yeah, that
she's
one.
She's kind of spared Basic Instincts, isn't she? But only just.
Yeah. It's such a horny movie that also feels weirdly sexless.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not a horny movie that feels like you want to engage with its horniness. That's for sure.
I am not aroused.
No. Quite the opposite. Especially when it comes to like the third scene starring her, which is the hit some controversy as well, which is when she has fully met up with John Cusack's Hilary Van Wesser once he's been released, and his treatment of her in the apartment is another one which I think caused some controversy because the director purposely kept them apart during the shoot and asked them both to stay in character the whole time. So then he really came in and really was quite strong in the way that he physically moved in that scene and the way that he moved her around. And so I think that was seen as being quite problematic afterwards as well.
Yeah, but I can 100% see that. But something like that could also work. Some movies have displayed this kind of really bad, toxic sexual relationship before, but generally those have maybe done it better than how this handles it, because I don't know what to make of any of this.
No, and I think because we're not bought into the characters, we're not bought into the story. Even, I keep using, I'll come back to Basic Instinct again. There's that famous scene where Michael Douglas's detective character goes back to his ex-girlfriend's apartment and he has quite rough sex with her, which is, kind of akin to this scene here because he's working out his frustrations at the fact that he can't be with Sharon Stone's Catherine Trammell. I'm not saying it's okay what happens in that scene at all, but I'm bought into those two characters. I'm bought into that kind of animal magnetism and that raw sexuality in that moment. Here, it just feels deliberately kind of provocative and trying too hard.
Yes, it feels like someone was trying to create something deep who maybe had too much focus on the edginess and trying it to get a reaction out of this trashy story.
Yeah, trashy is the right word, isn't it? Because at times it kept hinting at, like you said, like there being something here that could be worthwhile. And at times it was brushing with something like Wild Things for me. The Denise Richards, Nev Campbell, Kevin Bacon, Matt Dillon movie, that feels like kind of backwater swamp noir, if that as a genre. And does definitely have these big tonal switches, but that just seems to pull it off a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Wild Things, so I can't comment on that, but maybe there's a different type of playfulness to it, at least in the few sort of clips that have circulated on the internet over the years.
Yeah, there's definitely a playfulness. There's almost like a self-aware post-scream wink and a nudge and a, we know what we're doing here and you're along for the ride, aren't you? Absolutely.
Yeah, whereas this takes itself completely seriously, even when it gets completely wackadoo.
Yeah, it does. And I think with the lack of clear messaging and clear direction, let's use that word, I think, in every way that could be taken, that's what becomes problematic. And we get scenes like the McConaughey one in the motel room, where again, like, what is the message here? What are we trying to say? So McConaughey's character, the older brother, is revealed to be a closeted homosexual, particularly is into black men. And there's a really hard scene to watch where he has engaged in, or tried to engage some men in motel sex, and they've beaten him up. But it's unclear whether he wants them to do that.
Yeah. It's not the type of scene where vagueness really serves in any way. That you need total clarity for something like that. Ambiguity has its place in a lot of crime stories, but for something as complex and disturbing as that type of violent sexual acts, you need to make it more clear what the hell is going on.
You do. I agree. Because we come in after the act, don't we? That we get Zac Efron's character, we get Jack Jensen, and we get Charlotte Bless, which is Nicole Kidman's character. We get them kind of coming to his motelroom, don't we, and breaking in because they can see through the window that he's all bloodied up, he's handcuffed. But again,
plastic.
Yeah, and we have Efron talking to him and like, why is there plastic here? Why is there plastic here? Mm-hmm. So it's almost as if he's asking them to punish him. Is the sense I got. The McConaughey's character he wants to be punished for his homosexual desires.
I don't know about that, but I also don't know what else it could be because it's so muddled. Like, as you said, as we find out, he is a closeted gay guy, and he has a fondness for black dudes. Fine. Mm-hmm. He wants to have sex with them. Fine. Maybe he likes it a little rough. Cool. Mm-hmm. But also, like, what is happening here? How rough did he want it? Did they go too far? Did he say?
Yeah.
Where's the direction? What's the direction? How's the direction?
Yeah, because we get these other hints, don't we? We get a comment earlier on about the fact he's got these scars on his face, and then he ends up with some more after this account, this event, which kind of, I think we're supposed to put 2 and 2 together and get 4 that this has happened before. We also get the other journalist that comes along with him. We get Yardley's comment about the idea of like, oh yeah, we hooked up once, and since then it's like he's been wanting to punish himself, and he's been like following me around like a puppy dog, whatever it is that he says. So we do get these other kind of comments and like offhand moments where this is the only way I can feel to fit those puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense if we're going to try to make sense of this thing that doesn't make sense. But I also feel, why is this here? Why is like Ward, Matthew McConaughey's story even here? Why is that backstory of them hooking up here? Like, why are there so many weird asides in this that don't feel connected to the main narrative?
Yeah, because the through line's really simple, isn't it? They turn up, they want to get this guy off, they get him off, it's revealed that he's a psycho and he goes around killing people. I mean, that's the story, right? But it's also kind of this... Go on.
Then you also fill it out with some character stuff. I get that. But they need to find their way into it a bit more naturally than what we have here. Because it doesn't feel like they're pieces of the same jigsaw, but rather someone trying to mash all sorts of pictures together.
That's a really nice way to put it, because it's kind of a coming of age movie for Zac Efron, and we get this backstory that their mother's left them, and we've got this wicked stepmother, and he's got this weird abusive but loving relationship with Macy Gray's maid, and like there's just so many things going on to try and keep your head around, isn't it, and to keep up with.
Yeah, it tries to do way too much, because there is that central investigative thing. There's the sexual stuff. There's like it tries to tackle like the relationship between like privilege and racism in the 60s and backwater stuff, and it's too much that never gels in any way.
No, it really doesn't. Other than, I guess, a consistent, inconsistent style. So as you alluded to earlier on, like we have this kind of very jumpy, fractious kind of storytelling, like elliptical editing, and this quite associative editing style at times. Like during the sex scene between Zac Efron and Nicole Kidman's character Charlotte, when they finally do hook up, she says like, "Oh, just this one time we'll hook up." We get these weird edits to like kind of strung up, like ready to be skinned animals, or like roadkill, or we get these weird associative moments as well, don't we? Like that is consistently inconsistent all the way through. And the one thing I will praise this film for is its period style and period detail is very impressive. It's very convincing. It's mise en scène and it's costume. Like, I totally buy it's set in that era.
Yes, that is something I can give it as well. It does feel like it fits into the 60s with the production design side of things. And the entire cast sort of naturally slots into the aesthetic as well, because sometimes you get a person who looks like they know what an iPhone is, even though it's set way earlier.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Yeah.
But everyone here works nice.
Yeah, they do. Especially our man McConaughey. Like, let's talk about him for a little bit, shall we? It's an interesting role for him. Like, we know we've just hit, this period where he's now in the reconnaissance fully. He's only taking roles which he thinks are going to challenge him and push him. He's not going to take anything that he feels he can coast through because he's done with that period of his life. He's done Lincoln Lawyer. He's done Bernie. And now here we are in The Paperboy. What do you think attracted him to this role? Why do you think he took it?
That's actually a good question. I mean, he's done a handful of movies where he's played a lawyer, right? So I think he's had sort of an interest in like the justice system and the investigative, which might have attracted him to his role here. But I also think having like, the character is also like a closeted homosexual, that could be like a complex layer for the character that he could use to enhance his performance in some way.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It is an interesting kind of sidestep from all those, Lincoln Lawyers, A Time to Kill, Amistad style moralistic characters. He seems to be drawn to these people who have a strong moral. Even Killer Joe, the movie he was in before this, he's playing a policeman who is also a hitman, but he has a clear moral code that he sticks by. So it does seem to be something. Yeah, I mean, whether you buy into it or not, it's something that does seem to draw McConaughey to characters, I think.
Yeah, and I was actually about to ask that Killer Joe was around this era, right?
Yeah, literally the movie before.
That's another sort of weird psychosexual story for him to take part in. Difference being, that one's good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Worlds apart. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think his chemistry with Efron's pretty good here. I buy them as brothers.
Yes, I was surprised to see them like as brothers, partly because of the age difference. Because I saw the cast list right before I clicked play on the movie, and you see the character names, and I thought like, maybe he's like a dad or an uncle or something. But no, brothers.
He often is playing younger, isn't he, McConaughey? I think he does look younger than he is. But I thought when they were together on screen, they had the camaraderie that I would expect of brothers with that kind of age difference. Very much Efron's character looking up to him, Ward very much trying to deflect that and kind of let him know without directly telling him, you can be better than me, don't look at me, because we know there's those layers going underneath. I thought that was all pretty convincing. When it was on those two, I actually think I would have much rather just watched a movie about these two brothers reconnecting and perhaps solving a case together, almost like private detectives. I think that would have been a much more interesting story.
Yeah, that could have been a bit of fun, but instead we got what we got.
We did.
Yeah, McConaughey, he's really good here. Very subdued performance, I feel, for him. He doesn't really get any big moment in that sense. He sort of reins it in a fair bit, and maybe that is to let Efron get a bit more space to play, or maybe he just sees something in the material that we don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we have commented on actually in previous episodes. I'm glad you brought that up. That sense of how he is a generous performer with his co-stars. He is willing to let other people take the spotlight when it serves the story or it serves the purpose of the movie. Even something like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like that is Kate Hudson's movie. And he's happy to let her take that and to roll with it and to shine and to be the leading light in that movie. And I think he's a very generous performer in that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we've seen it, before and since in general. I feel Interstellar, sure, he gets some big emotional moments in that, but he also lets the other cast members get even bigger and broader when they're around. and he plays well in that kind of field.
Yeah, definitely. I did read that he said part of his attraction to this was the shock value of the script. So he was looking at, looking at Killer Joe, looking at this, maybe even Magic Mike for a different reason, obviously, but looking at things which are courting kind of eyes on for different reasons. Maybe because he is in this era where he wants to, be pushing boundaries for himself.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. What else did he do in this? True Detective was right after this, right?
It is. Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Dallas
that
Buyers
pushed a
Club
lot
was
of
obviously
boundaries
the big
too.
one. It did, yeah. And obviously, yeah, Dallas Buyers Club was the one where he got his Oscar, where he really went all in. And then, as you said, Interstellar. See, I mean, I've got a hell of a run for over the next few episodes covering all this quality that he's doing at the moment.
And meanwhile, I'm sitting here talking about fucking Paperboy.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Although, as I say to the guests when they come on, you only did it to yourself.
Yeah, I suppose.
I have to cover it because it's my concept of the show, but this is the one that you put your hand up and picked.
At least I'm not tormenting myself alone.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate you endlessly for doing it and being able to talk to me about it as well.
Yeah. As another aside here, we touched a little bit upon the cast. I want to say David Oyelowo, he's, as we've seen in other things, he's a fantastic actor. And I think he's very charming in this, even if the performance is a little goofier than a script like this might demand.
Yeah, there's the weird reveal in the third act.
Oh, yeah.
He is not British, that he is American, and he's put on a fake British accent in order to be able to carve a career in journalism in America. Very weird.
Very, very weird indeed. But it's also one of the few reveals where I'm like, okay, I can get behind this. That's unique. That's fun. Cool.
Yeah. He seems to be a bit one of these people who you just can't get a hand on at all, can you? Because he talks about the fact that he is, I guess, openly bisexual, which maybe they wouldn't use that term in the 60s, would they? But it seems to be heavily hinted at that he's slept with Nicole Kidman's character. We know that he's had some sexual encounters with McConaughey's character. So he does seem to be a kind of a man of the world and just rolls with whatever he needs to do to get ahead.
Yeah, that, yeah.
Including making up sources in order to sell his stories.
Yep. He's one of the more complex characters here, even if he doesn't sort of get the ground to really explore it.
Yeah. Again, he probably could have had a whole movie just about his character. We sort of need to siphon people off to get their own movies, don't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then rest of the cast, you got some good people here. Got Scott Glenn as Efron and McConaughey's dad. Always fun to see him. And then you have Ned Bellamy as John Cusack's dad.
Yeah.
Or uncle? What's their relationship again?
Well, I'm not sure. But again, it's one of those weird backwater, because there seems to be a lot of people and they all seem to be pregnant, and it might be his daughter that's pregnant and it might be his kid. And like we get that scene, don't we? It's almost like a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood ranch scene. It's probably the most effective scene in the movie, I think, when McConaughey and Zac Efron go to see Ned Bellamy's character. It does feel tense. It does feel like at any point this could switch.
Yes, absolutely. I was sitting and thinking about the scene for a lot of our conversation because I think that bit is genuinely really strong. It is really tense. You don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to try to kill him? Is he friendly and going to let them walk? It's a very unsettling atmosphere. I think his performance adds a lot to that. I think he's really great.
I agree. It's easily the best scene in the movie by a million miles, because they're totally isolated, aren't they? They've had to walk through kind of boggy marshland to get there, and he knows that this could go any way that I want it to go, and I'm in control here.
Yeah, he would have been a great villain in a better movie.
He would. And again, he doesn't have enough to do, does he, really?
Does anyone in this?
Well, No, you're right. They don't, because they're in and out constantly, aren't they? And you can't quite get a handle on motivations or performance because, you know, we're back to direction again, aren't we? I'm not sure they're getting clear enough direction of what they should be doing.
No, not even like personalities, which is, you talked about archetypes earlier, and even then I barely feel like those come through in any strong way beyond like Kidman, because all the other ones feel kind of shallow and almost like they flip-flop between things just so they can justify certain scenes.
So we need you to act in this way in this scene, so that's what you're going to do. Yeah.
Someone like that.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting point. Yeah. I'll be honest, it's been the hardest watch I've had for a while where I've had to tell myself, let me get my phrasing out properly. I've had to tell myself not to pick up my phone. I really don't want to be that person. I really am not that person when I'm watching something and I want to engage in it, particularly when I'm doing it for the podcast. But anyway, if I'm choosing to watch something, I want to engage. But I had to really force myself with this one.
Yeah, same here. Though I did pause it partway through just so I could pace around and try to get my thoughts around it. I just needed a break from all this weird nonsense.
Yeah, no, I understand that. It's totally fair. And I think I probably did pause it a couple of times. Oh, I think I'll go and have a cup of tea now. Or, yeah, I'll find an excuse not to have to continue for a few minutes to gather myself. Yeah, you're right.
Doesn't help that I watched Platoon earlier today as well, and I was like, oh man, I go from that greatness to this.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Yes. They are not comparable in any way, are they?
No, it's just an interesting dichotomy of quality.
They both start with a P.
Oh yeah.
That's as close as they get to each other. There was a line in this movie, and I think it is Oyelowo's character. He says, and I'm pretty sure it's it's just after the scene where, Kidman and Cusack have had a good time in front of them. And he says, "This is a fucking circus." And I thought, oh yeah, you're right. That is exactly what this is. Not just within the movie, but actually the movie in itself.
Yep. And given that those two characters are putting on a show, it is also a fucking circus.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. I like that extra depth that I hadn't even thought about. I've got a couple of letterbox reviews, but before I delve into them, is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed, we haven't covered?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've gone over all the ways we can say that this movie is weird.
It's weird, yeah. It's disjointed, it's fractious, it's not got a clear identity. Yeah, I wanted to like it. Like I said, I'm in this great run with McConaughey, and I wanted this to be another one where the run continued. It just isn't.
Yeah, and we touched upon earlier, like the premise is actually quite strong, and it seemed like something that could be quite great. So I was looking forward to it on that front, but sadly, it is a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It really is. But what I have got is two very polarizing different views. So there are some people that like this. So
I saw that as well.
Yeah, I'll start with that one. So Gray says, this movie was made for me. Matthew McConaughey plays a repressed, masochistic gay man. Nicole Kidman plays this head over heels for John Cusack bimbo. Zac Efron is in love with head over heels bimbo Nicole Kidman. Matthew McConaughey wears an eye patch at one point. Did I mention that Matthew McConaughey plays a repressed, masochistic gay man, or did I not? Which I thought was a fun review. I'm guessing Gray might see themselves a little bit in Matthew McConaughey's character.
Maybe, or they just find the role and character quite attractive.
Sure. Which, I get it.
He's a handsome man.
Oh, for sure.
And he rocks that eye patch.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Yeah. We need some more eye patch worthy roles, don't we, for sure?
Yeah.
Okay, on the other end of the scale, Kenneth W. Palmer. While the cast in The Paperboy, Nicole Kidman, Matthew McConaughey, Zac Efron, John Cusack, etc., is undeniably strong, The movie's weak, sweaty, and terrible execution is embarrassing. Director Lee Daniels' film came across as messy and unfocused. The writing is disjointed. The editing choices don't help. The cinematography, while bold, feels over-stylized and even off-putting. This completely missed the mark for me. Which I think it did for both of us, didn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. That put all our words into a very nicely concise chunk.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when I'm reading these afterwards and I'm trying to collate and trying to find ones which have different ends of the scale, often I do find, I want the ones that talk about McConaughey as well, of course. I do find drawn, as you would be, to the ones which kind of align with your thoughts. You can't help that, can you? But that really did distill down what we said in sort of 50 minutes, didn't it, into kind of one paragraph.
Yeah, it makes me wish I could make my rambling stat snappy, but no, other people can do that better.
Well, and that's just not who you are. We, part of your charm is your rambling. So why would we want to take that away?
Yeah, fair point.
So I don't think this is going to be a big twist unless you've really suckered me in to knock me out at the end. Where would you put this in the categories which I use on the show? Would you consider this a classic McConaughey performance and movie, a McConaughey performance movie worth catching, or really one that is for completists only?
I would personally probably put this for completists only, but when I went to log this on Letterboxd earlier, I saw such a wide range of thoughts on it that I would almost put it as worth checking out just to see where you might fall on that surprisingly broad spectrum.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Were there any that jumped out to you when you read them particularly?
I didn't go too in depth with the actual reviews because I had some things to do, but at least checking ratings and browsing a few reviews, it's just interesting how polarizing this movie is.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It really is. It's kind of what, I don't know if this is a phrase which is international, but it's what we call a Marmite movie.
You either love it or you don't.
Yeah, absolutely good. I'm glad that's something that's,
Yeah, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I've heard it. Fair
enough. And, I appreciate you watching it. We've discussed that a couple of times and putting your hand up. This was not one that people were willing to, the list was out for quite a while before this one was taken. So I very much appreciate being the man who put his hand above the parapet to take it. And I just hope that the next time we talk, which is going to be for gold, you might get a better movie.
Either way, it's fun to be here and to talk to you.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you, mate. And Gold is another one I haven't seen. I don't know about you.
I haven't seen it either. It's been kind of in the back of my mind for a while because it seemed interesting, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, I mean, with so much content nowadays, it's impossible, isn't it? So hopefully we'll both be pleasantly surprised by that one. The only way is up, right?
God, I hope so. Until then, we'll have to wallow in this thing.
But if you chime, if you're watching along for any kind of chiming in, we know we've got a good run coming up because we've got Mud, Magic Mike, Dallas Buyers Club, Wolf of Wall Street, True Detective, and Interstellar. So I'm getting all the good stuff. So there's got to be a couple of clunkers in there as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Except Matthew McConaughey. He's perfect, even if his movies aren't.
What a way to end. It appears this paperboy chose the hard way. Ooh, there's a niche reference for you. Of course, the chat with my guest was Easy Street, so I must thank him again for taking one for the team. My thanks to you too as well, the listeners, for your continued engagement and participation as we continue our journey through the McConaissance. As you heard, that was Paperboy. Ugh. Next up in a fortnight, This American Wife make a swift return to the show to discuss Eminem's performance as the titular character in Jeff Nichols' Mud, for those that are watching along. Until next time, be excellent to each other and make sure you take the time to treat yourself too. I am Jack signing off. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Cut.